Welcome to the Darren Well podcast with Rita Mercer.
But I pray too that, okay, please just today, even if it's for the next 10 minutes, please let my faith be bigger than my fear today.
Have you ever felt like God was placing a dream on your heart, one that felt so much bigger than your experience, bigger than your comfort zone, and bigger than what even seemed possible? So what happens when faith asks you to take the next step before you can even see the path? Like, what's the path that's going to be ahead? All the unknowns. But today we're exploring a beautiful story of a colleague, a friend, Candice Paolino. She's going to share her beautiful story of trust, how she's walked through with obedience and growth and found her purpose and living out her purpose. I'm excited for Candice Paolino to share with the Darren community her journey of following a dream, charting new territory, and discovering how God was shaping her the whole way, personally, professionally, and spiritually, every step along the way. Candice Paolino is the founder of My Wellness Wallet. She's a licensed therapist. She has spent years walking alongside individuals on their healing journeys. She is passionate about creating pathways to care that honor the whole person and make support for ways to be accessible and dignifying and compassionate. Behind her mission is the story of faith, of courage, and learning to trust God's leading, His timing, even when the road is not even clear. And so through seasons of growth, through seasons of uncertainty and stretching beyond her familiar territory, Candice has learned truly what it means to move from vision to action and from calling to purpose. So again, today I'm excited to welcome Candice Paolino to the Darren Well podcast. Welcome, Candice.
Thank you so much, Rita. I'm honored to reconnect with you and to see what you're doing, glorifying His kingdom and everything you say and do. It's incredible. Exactly. And I'm just so proud of just everything you're doing. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Candice. Candice, I'd love to, as we get started today, I'd love to hear more about your journey. So kind of your why, walking through that. So the journey of following this dream and how God planted that vision in you, and how it shaped you personally, professionally, and spiritually. So what would you say when you think about the why of how God launched and planted that vision in your heart?
So as you mentioned, right, I'm a therapist. And as a therapist, I've experienced times in session where there were gaps, right? Some of my clients would say some familiar things. One of them being, I haven't met my copay. I'm going to have to stop therapy for a little while until I meet that copay. And then they would sort of be doing the math in their head and would sit and say, this is heavy on my heart. I wish that we wouldn't have to pause progress based on a copay. So this is with people with insurance, right? It's not even to step into people who don't have insurance, because I think that there is a misunderstanding out there. Often people think, oh, they have insurance, they're okay. That's not always the case. And then there was another piece that came up in sessions. Several of my clients had asked, how do I get so-and-so to, buy into therapy? And, how do I encourage others? How, could I give them a session? How does this work? It's for people who it's helped. They want to share that. And I love that. So those two things were weighing heavily on me for a while. I just sat with them, and I journal a lot, and I journal, and I would come back and, okay, what can I do as a follower of Christ? This is a call to me to hand it over to Him and pray about it. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? So that's kind of like the first step I would take: a journal, pray. Well, what is this going to mean? How can I be part of the solution? So I was trying to be very mindful and patient with the process. And I really do feel like I was called to figure out how to help with this. Those two things, like I said, kind of coexisting at the same time. There was not one bigger than the other, but both of them were under the umbrella of barriers to care. right? And that's a huge problem, not only in our country, but everywhere. Barriers to care. What does that look like? So that is how this kind of all started.
So you were
Was my
inspired, Candice, by your faith?
Absolutely. Honestly, it's not always this way, but I certainly try to have everything I say and do be a reflection of not who I am, but who he
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
right? Because I am broken, I am flawed. If left to my own, yeah, sometimes a train wreck, right? But when I give it over to him, that's the biggest inspiration. And that's where I get my direction. That's where, honestly, that's the only way I got to who I am today. The journey is always, it's not straight, right? It's this kind of like, you've seen those pictures, right? It's like, I try, I wake up every day with intentionality to try to be the best person I am or I can be. And then, 9 o'clock comes and I've failed a few times and right. It's
And have
start
to
over.
reset. Yeah.
Yes, exactly right. And so, yes, honestly, I am here through my faith and by his grace. And I'm forever grateful. And we're so blessed in so many ways, just even to live in this beautiful country that we live in. And so to me, part of it's also a responsibility, but a privilege at the same time to give back, to care for others. I find that just such a privilege.
Yeah. 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 That's so rewarding is to be able to live out your purpose to help others. 'Cause we're more than just put on this earth to just live and survive and just exist. But yeah, we're called to serve in whatever
Absolutely.
way that we can, because some people are called to serve at the restaurant. Some people are called to
Yes.
serve in the medical field. Some people are
Mhm.
called to serve as my son in the military. Like,
Yes.
whatever, everybody's called to do their own little piece on this
Mhm.
earth. And so I love that faith leads you to support this vision of helping others get connected with mental health. So,
Mhm.
which kind of leads me into the next piece. So, faith informed care. And
Mhm.
so bridging that gap for
Mhm.
people that are wanting to align with their values. What is faith informed care? Like how do people connect with that piece?
So, first of all, it's a relational approach, right? That we as clinicians, when asked to lead with faith at the center, that we are well informed and we have the tools to know how to do so. So, I did some kind of deep thinking. This has been a process over many years. I had run across some excellent therapists, and myself, I had, a therapist that I spoke with, and we kind of went down that pathway. I asked about, faith, and she was wonderful. She stated on her file that she was a woman of faith, which was wonderful, but I assumed that meant that she would be able to speak to that as something that's formational and guiding me right to particular scripture or helpful ways to better myself within the context of Christianity. But she was unable to do so, and she said, well, I have very strong faith, but I'm not really sure how to do that. Completely, understood, no problem. She did a great job. And but that stayed with me because I
Mm,
wanted to, right, to have a way to vet therapists to make sure that they had the tools to help people if they weren't trained as a Christian therapist, but they are Christian and they want to be able to marry clinical excellence and Christianity together, that they know how to do that. So when a client comes to us and wants faith informed care or Christian care, that we as therapists have the tools to know how to do that in a research based way. About
Um,
that or
well, I was kind of wondering. So I identify on my profile as a Christian, on my bio, on my website as a Christian.
Mhm.
But
Sure.
when you say faith informed care, does that mean you can support a therapist that aligns as a Muslim identifying belief? So I didn't know if it's just for
Good question. Great
anything
question.
else. Okay.
So in this context, it is only Christian because the one of the main tools that we will use, it's called the biblical wellness model. it's a framework for how to help therapists align professionally, like professional excellence, with the clinical, with the spirituality and Christianity piece. So the
Gotcha.
biblical wellness model is based obviously in the Bible. And so that being something that Christians align with, right, and believe deeply in. That's part of the reason, but also because I'm unfamiliar. For me, that's not something I would want to delve into much because I don't have a deep understanding of that. I wouldn't want to do wrong by somebody because I live as a Christian with very deep rooted beliefs. I want to make sure that that is incorporated because to me, it's mind, body, and spirit. Right? We're not divisible. We're one being.
Right, right.
That's right. So, to answer your question directly, it is Christian.
Good, good. So faith informed care using the
Mhm.
Christian biblical principles. Good deal.
Exactly.
Good deal. So, how
Mhm.
does living in alignment with your values drive the work that you do?
Well, honestly, it drives so much because, integrity and caring for others and,
Yeah.
dignity and
Mm,
humility and just so dignity to all. So people who come to us for care, they are not receiving any sort of, there's no Christian aspect other than if they want that, right? We just want to be equipped to provide it if a client wants that. But also, when we say, like, when I say as a therapist, that, you asked how it guides me. I mean, it is the lens that I view the world through. So I
mm,
can't separate that. And so I think transparency is, and nor do I want to, but transparency is very important. I would just want people to be, fully informed that who believes, I would say I'm a Christian therapist because I want people to understand that is truly how I view things through that lens. But
mm.
nothing is forced, nothing, there's nothing about this that is agenda driven other than to model the beliefs and the postures, right, that Christians align themselves with. Again, that dignity to all. Everyone is welcome here. It
Yeah.
doesn't the belief systems or how people identify, none of that. All are welcome here. So please, yes, if that's you, you are welcome here. It's huge. I mean, and so compassion and gentleness, that is more about, like, that's informing how I approach people, how I approach truly everything I do. Certainly that's the intent. Again, we talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to pretend I'm perfect, not even close. But it's certainly what I try to do every day is to live with values that have been modeled through the Bible.
That's good. That's good, Candice. Tell us about the process, this journey that God's got you on. So you think about the hardest part. And so I think for me, the hardest part is always like getting started. So pushing uphill, going uphill, and you don't know which step to go after you get up the hill. And so
Right?
talk about like some of those doubts, some of those fears, some of those challenges that you've encountered as you're building this beautiful resource to help faith people.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for asking. This one says, this is from Psalm 16:8. I keep my eyes always on the Lord. With him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. That is very special to me because I struggle with my own things, right? Imposter syndrome and anxiety and all the things. To me, I use that to glorify him as well. Like, I'm anxious, but I'm showing up. I'm
Mm,
unsure, but I'm showing up. And I think modeling that for clients who don't want to come, but they show up. Like, how can I advise someone to do that if I'm not willing to do it myself?
yeah.
Right. Yeah,
So
to
the
me,
doubts and fears are real and the challenge.
100% every day, but I pray too that, okay, please just today, even if it's for the next 10 minutes, please let my faith be bigger than my fear today,
Ooh, I love that.
right?
Let my faith be bigger than my fear. That
Mhm.
that would be a great poster. Let my
Right?
faith
Yes.
be bigger than my fear. That's
Mhm.
powerful, Candace.
Oh, thank you. I certainly didn't come up with it. I saw it somewhere, but it
Right, right.
resonated deeply with me. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love that because they coexist often right now. Right? The fear, the anxiety, the all the things. coexist with, okay, this is bigger than me. This isn't about me. This is about doing, truly something bigger and better than I could have ever imagined, because he put that in my heart to serve others. And serving others can, like you said earlier, like with your son, right? I mean, it looks different in a million different environments. This is just because this is the environment I'm so privileged to work in, and I love what I do. So he spoke to me about where I'm at and how I can change things for the better, for people to access the care, to be able to gift the actual gift of mental health therapy. That's a very new and exciting piece of this whole thing, to be able to say, hey, I don't know how to help you in this moment, especially for those who may not be therapists, but I love you, I care about you. Here's the gift of a session. And I
Mm,
know, right, and I know that some of these therapists who have the little badge on their profile, it says that they are faith informed. That means I know that I can send you to this person because they've been through a process to make sure they have the tools they need to guide you in that direction. And so someone from a church, for example, if you see, someone from church that might need some help and they really want Christian therapy, well, okay, I can help you, connect you to that. But there's so many things that, like I said, to kind of bring that back, is he's speaking to me. He's working in me, he's working through me. And so I have to just remind myself many times a day that, yeah, this is bigger than me. This is for him. And it's my way to say thank you for all the blessings I have. And
mm.
right, it's like that gratitude piece. Like, if I'm grateful, then if I keep that to myself, I'm not sure that's really enough. To me, if I'm grateful, I'm going to share that and help others.
That's good, Candice. That's good. Was there a moment when you think about that helped you to shift your mindset to what if this doesn't work? What if
Mm,
I'm not on the right path? What if
mm,
this isn't a great idea? What if God's really, and then maybe shifting to the idea that what if God is really inviting me in to do this? So how did you
mm,
get between those two ideas of what if this doesn't work, but what if God is really shifting me and inviting me into more and calling me to support and help other people? How did you get
mm.
through that process?
It is definitely a process, right? Honestly, I have felt the support of those closest to me, specifically my husband, who has, like, go for it. I'm in your corner. Let's do this. And in the times of doubt, even with his support, my own head, right? What's in my head, and I'm like, oh, what if, what if, what if? And then it's interesting, right? He answers in little ways and big ways. Specifically, one of the challenges that I kept kind of playing the old tapes, right? What do you think you are? All those sorts of things. And it's like, well, okay, again, it's not about me. Then I would pray. I'm like, oh, how am I going to find somebody to develop this website the way I want? And then I go on a walk with one of my girlfriends who owned a business, and she said, "Someone for you? She's right here in the town." And it was like, okay, sometimes it just takes a little bit of like processing aloud. And that's when he stepped in and said, oh, you're not going to stop this. This is no, no, no. I'm not going to let you stop this. I'm going to empower you. And I really felt that. He's connected me to a great team of people who are helping make this a reality. And it's been just a great journey. And at the end of the day, to be honest, Rita, at the end of the day, if this doesn't work, right? What a blessing that I'm reconnecting with you. That's enough. Honestly, I mean,
Oh,
truly, what a gift. I mean, wow, right? It's been how long? I mean, it's been a long time. And how he works, that's, the rest, like, financially, right? It's something, right? Oh, gotta pay the, web guy, gotta pay this, gotta pay that, gotta pay the designer. Well, okay, this is not my money anyway. At the end of the day, this is on loan to me. What I do with it, point A to point Z, it should be, I think, for me to everything should be to glorify him. So if this is the way I do it and he cuts it short, okay. What growth has he done
the
in the
trust
in the
in his
process?
timing. Trust in God's
That
time.
that well, that's good.
You're good because I think it's hard. I think that's the part that when I think about sharing the my Darren Well story, like it is hard. And so
Yes.
people think, okay, I woke up this way and everything's perfect and the road was like fully paved, and I didn't have to find somebody to dig out the ditch. I didn't have to find somebody to to encourage me on the days that I didn't know what to do. Like, so
Yes.
you just, as you go. And so it sounds like you got
Mhm.
the community around you that
Yes.
supports you. I think that's vital. And sounds like just the process of just trusting God.
Absolutely.
Like sometimes you just don't, not even sometimes, like oftentimes you
Sure.
just don't have all the answers. And so just trusting God's voice, trusting his timing, and just listening to those little nudges. And so for those listening, like, what's the nudge that God's calling you to do? Some people are like, I don't know what my purpose is. Your purpose
Mhm.
is tied to what you're called to do. And what are you called to do? What is your gifts?
That's
So
right.
your gifts was birthed out of like, well, this My Wellness Wallet was birthed out of like counseling and supporting your clients. And so you're like,
Exactly.
okay, well, you found that, okay, well, there's something else that God's calling me more to do. And
Mhm.
so listening to whatever those nudges are, if you're in the
Yes.
grocery store and God's nudging you to help this person. And so maybe maybe it's a business idea, but also maybe it's just a way to best serve in your community. And how can you do that and do it well?
Love that. And you're right, it's like if you're in, janitorial services, be the best darn janitorial service person on the planet and love those around you. And it doesn't matter what you do, it's how you do it and who you're doing it for, right?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that's powerful, Candice. That's powerful. As we start to wrap up, what are some words of wisdom if you were speaking? I guess so, speaking to both audiences, the
Sure, right.
fellow clinician that's out there listening, that maybe she's in grad school or he, maybe
Yes, right.
they're in grad school and they're
Mhm,
not sure what their path is going to be. Because I know when
mhm.
I was in grad school, I did not say I was going to be a Christian therapist, but fast forward almost 10 years now, like that's what I'm
Yes.
doing. I'm a Christian therapist. And so
Wow.
people don't know like what their process is. So speak
Mhm,
to the clinician, but then I would love after you speak to the clinician, speak to that family member that
mhm,
sees their other family member struggling and wants to
mhm,
help and doesn't know how to help. So maybe they're struggling with substance abuse. Maybe they're struggling with just emotional wellness and self care or burnout. Like speak to that person. So speak to both audiences if you could. What
absolutely.
would you say?
So for the grad student, right? You're exactly right. I remember it well. I didn't have right. I didn't have the faith that I have now, but I think that that's what he worked in the process. Allow him in. Allow him to work through you in the process, in the weeds, right? Allow him in. Have faith that yes, you said it earlier, and I love that. It's like the timing, right? I wasn't ready necessarily to do this before, but there have been things that have happened to me, through me, and in my community that have helped me become the person I am today. I still have a ton of work to do. That's never going to be done. But essentially, the kind of the words of wisdom, if you will, is like you too are called to do great things. And it can just be small things with great love. It doesn't have to be a huge undertaking. It can be something simple. Just do them with great love. And you're glorifying his kingdom and by doing that. So, have faith, stick with it. Community is important, right? Think about wild animals, right? Which wild animal always gets attacked? It's the one that separates from the herd, right? And
Ooh, that's true.
it's so true, right? And it's like, so don't separate. Community is important. The faith piece that grew over the years, and actually, it grew through adversity. So don't shy away from adversity, but have that relationship with Jesus Christ during the adversity, and that way He will help you not only through it, but then your purpose will be revealed to you. Have the
Mm,
faith for sure. Listen, right? Listen more than you speak. Listen to Him. It's not always a holler. Sometimes it's a whisper. And so allowing time, quiet to listen to the message. That's what I would say to the grad student. So the clinicians, think about how you could maybe be part of something requires you to lean in a little bit, whether it's this, my wellness wallet, or it's something else. But using your gifts to glorify him, and in my opinion, it can never be wrong. So you can keep doing what you're doing if that's fulfilling for you, but also lean in. Growth doesn't typically happen when we're comfortable, right? And so it takes that leaning in. a little discomfort, check out the website if you feel like it. Would love to have you share. And then to those who have a family member with either, substance abuse or whatever concern that they may be struggling with this, first of all, he is greater than all of this, right? And it's that, it's that time where, he's working. If you allow him in, he will work. And
Yeah.
again, that same thing about not separating yourself, getting community. Community can be in the form of a therapist. You can start to build, they can help you too to build that community that your family member may need or you may need. But yeah, and under the discussion with this platform, this allows you to be able to give a gift card that allows people to access mental health. So it's essentially you're gifting mental health therapy, and then our therapists are seasoned therapists, so they are not new, and there's a place and a wonderful space for people who are new as well. This just is something different that is working with therapists who have really have that experience behind them, so we can help guide people. So look for whatever it is that you're looking for. Check out what we have. Maybe that will be something that will help you. And otherwise, there's lots of great resources out there. Don't be afraid to access, NAMI being one of them.
Mhm.
There's a lot. I mean, we talk about, different, I mean, there's like Al-Anon for, specific organizations that help with specific struggles. So what I'm saying is, okay, I would love to be part of your journey. I would love, but also whomever, is out there to support you, just make sure that they have, what you're looking for. Most of those places like Al-Anon and that, they are Christian based. So, look for that, vet them, and get the support you need. And you're not alone. You're never alone, but also don't take yourself out, right? Of that situation, that support. Keep yourself in it and accept the help that is being offered to you.
That's good. That's good, Candice.
Thank
That's
you.
good. So share about ways that you best serve again that clinician, which you kind of already spoken to it a little bit, but
Sure.
share as we start to wrap up, like what are the ways that you best serve the clinician? What are the ways that you best serve the family member, and how do they get connected to your world and to explore like ways to live and be well mentally,
Mhm.
physically,
Love
spiritually?
that. Love that. So, a couple things. First, on our website, we do have resources. It's www.mywellnesswallet.com. But also, what we have is curated network of therapists intentionally. We're going to have 25 therapists per state launching this summer in Ohio to begin with, as kind of like a shout out to the people who poured into me and whom I had the pleasure to go to school with and want to go back to my roots and launch there. Familiarize yourself with the website, familiarize yourself with ways that you could help people with a gift card, right? So it's pretty, and we also have like scripts on our website to be able to kind of normalize the discussion. So if you
Ooh,
want to
because
take
that's
a breath,
hard.
oh, it is. That's a big
Or have
barrier,
that
right?
conversation. Yeah.
Yes, we're looking for again that curated network. So if this is a calling, if this is something that intrigues you, and you want to be empowered with tools to help provide faith informed care, a small but mighty group of people who are wanting to lean in and do God's work. That doesn't mean you have to provide Christian counseling. What that means is that you embrace what he embraces, meaning, again, we talked about it earlier, the dignity and, compassion, and do it well. And so, I encourage you to check out the website, social media. All of it is My Wellness Wallet. So, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of that. I'm super excited where he leads us next. And I'd love you to follow along and be part of the journey, whether it's passively or actively. We're looking for therapists. It's very specific, criteria. Check it out on the website because we really pride ourselves with being something that's very niche. It's not a cattle call for 8 million therapists. It's very specific because we want to be that kind of boutique experience where we really can meet people where they're at and help. So check it out. Feel free on the website. There's my email, Candice, and at mywellnesswallet.com. I'm just in mostly pray for whatever is supposed to happen through this happens, and all glory be God.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, Candice. So
Appreciate that.
mywellnesswallet.com.
You got it.
One
Yeah,
quick
check that
question.
out. Thank you for your time today, though, and thank you, Rita, for everything you're doing to share this. Appreciate
It's
it.
all, as you say, Candice, it's all to glorify God. That's all we're
Absolutely.
doing. And
Amen.
so grateful, so grateful. So as we wrap up today, again, thank you so much, Candice, for sharing your journey. Thank you for sharing ways that people can lovingly come aside alongside their family members, their friends, church, because churches can come alongside others that are going through natural disasters, like newlyweds. Like there's whatever mental health or emotional wellness, spiritual wellness, like they can connect this resource. And so
Absolutely.
grateful for you sharing that. My
Thank
wellness
you.
wallet.
Yes, and thank you for the opportunity. Much love to you and blessings.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, wellness friends, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for stopping by the Darren Well podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you hear this episode. Wishing you a fabulous day, my dear. Until next time, keep living, keep loving, and keep daring well. Take care, guys. God bless. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of the Daring Well podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode and want to continue exploring the world of holistic wellness, be sure to subscribe to the Daring Well podcast so you never miss an episode filled with transformative conversations and actionable advice. Thank you again for being part of the Daring Well podcast community. Together, let's dare to live well in mind, body, and spirit.